Stop drinking alcohol. It's not doing you any good. Stop avoiding reality and learn to deal with your stuff and take steps towards creating the best version of yourself. My name is Abby Eagle, and I'm sorry if that sounds a bit harsh, but in my early days I avoided reality by drinking, and it made a real mess of my life. But then I made a decision to stop drinking. It was hard work, but I learned how to make the necessary changes. And then I got into NLP, hypnotherapy and meditation, and I learned how to help people like you stop drinking alcohol, sometimes in a matter of hours. Now at this point you have the choice to give me the finger and click out, or you could listen in for a couple of minutes just to hear what I have to say. Who knows, it could transform your life. You see, in general, people smoke cigarettes, marijuana, drink alcohol, gamble, eat chocolate and overeat because they're trying to suppress and medicate a negative emotion like boredom, loneliness, stress, anxiety. On the other hand, they're trying to bring in a positive feeling like confidence and relaxation. In some cases, they're trying to give themselves something like love or nurturance. So the bad habit has a positive intention. That is, it serves them in some way or another. More often than not, they're trying to quieten their internal dialogue. That is, quieten their mind. Does that make sense? So if you book a session with me, then what I do is to gather some information about your present state and about your personal history. I don't need a lot of information, just enough to give me a general idea of what is driving the drinking problem. Then I help you to build what I call a well-formed outcome. That is to set some reasonable goals for yourself 6 months in the future. Then I will ask you, what are the negative emotions that you experienced? Now, typically a person will only experience 2 or 3 negative emotions. And using my intuition based upon decades of experience, I will show you how to clear the negative emotion. This takes about 20 minutes. And you don't have to go into any detail. You don't have to tell your story. You know what happened. What I do is to show your unconscious mind how to preserve the positive learnings, to come to a new understanding, and then release the negative emotion. It will clear all the way along your timeline from the past and the future. The next step is to set up a communication system with your unconscious mind, what we call an ideomotor signal, where you get a signal for a yes and a signal for a no. Then we really start to power along because we can ask your unconscious mind questions and get answers. And using a system of questions, statements, and commands, we invite your unconscious mind to banish the alcohol from your life. Once we've done that, we then move on to blowing out the triggers. So we identify the triggers, and then using a very structured procedure, I show you how to change the triggers so that rather than having the thought to drink, you have a positive thought and a positive feeling instead, so that the thought to drink never comes to mind. All being well, we get that done in your first 2-hour session. A week later, in the follow-up session, people typically report that they've made significant changes. In the follow-up sessions, I show you how to work with your personality type, how to get into a flow state, that is an optimal state of consciousness in which you perform at your best, how to communicate with your unconscious mind using questions, statements, and commands, and probably most importantly, how to create an environment in which you flourish. Now, each person is different and they drink for different reasons, but let me give you one case history example. One woman, she was about 45 years old, a heavy drinker who'd spent thousands going to rehab centres but to no avail. It turns out she drank to suppress feelings of anger. The anger originated from sexual abuse as a 3-year-old child. So I got her to clear the negative emotion, and then she sat there for a few minutes as her unconscious mind reorganised itself. She told me that before we ran the process that she had a memory of a traumatised girl who was sexually abused in a garden. But now when she thought back to that 3-year-old girl, she saw a little girl running happily around the garden, playing with the other children. We ran some other processes, but that was basically all it took to help this woman stop drinking. I could give you dozens more examples, but I know your time is precious. So if you search the internet for Abby Eagle NLP, you will find my website, abbyeagle.com. In the menu at the top and bottom, there's a menu item, Read Success Stories, where you can read what others say about my work. But do the results last, you might ask? Well, back in the 80s and 90s, I followed people up over the 2 to 3 years, and they did. And now I get referrals from people 5 to 10 years later, so I know that my procedures work. So what I suggest you do is to click somewhere on this video or find me on the internet. Just type in Abby Eagle NLP to get to abbyeagle.com, send me an email, and book yourself a free 20-minute consultation on Skype. That way we can get to know each other a bit and I can answer any questions that you might have.